What's up guys, this is Jesse with Red Room Cinema, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the newest flagship camera for Red Room Cinema. The Canon C80, triple base ISO, 6K, full frame sensor. There's so many things that we're going to talk about with this camera. But first, like, my GH5 is what I've been using for the past 6 years, and man, comparing this to that camera, the GH5 is nothing. It's such a horrible camera. It doesn't have autofocus. It's a micro four thirds sensor. I had to do a lot of things to make that camera functional, but like now I really don't need it. And I'm probably just gonna throw it in the trash because there's no reason for me to even have it in the first place. Oh no, it's not a nightmare. It's actually happening. So the Canon C80, I'm gonna be showing you footage and just talking about my overall time with this camera. I've had it for 1 week, exactly 1 week, but I've only filmed with it for a couple days, maybe like 4 days. I went to 6 different locations. I went to the Queen Mary, I went to LA, Little Tokyo, my son's soccer game, daytime and nighttime. I went to Venice, Santa Monica, and then I also filmed some footage in my church. So I'm gonna be showing you footage as I talk about it. First, we're gonna go over to the Queen Mary. At the Queen Mary, what's funny is that I bought the camera last Friday, and once I opened it from the box, the battery had no battery, so I had to charge it. And I actually bought a second battery. I bought the BPA60N battery, which is double the power, double the cost. And I ended up charging that battery as soon as I got home. But the thing was, it was like 2 hours in and it was about 50%. So I have this portable adapter, which I'm gonna show you guys. And what I did was I just plugged it into that, and then I drove over to the Queen Mary, and it was charging as I got there. Once I got there, I just swapped it for the BPA 30 battery, and I took with me the BPA 60. So I hadn't even hooked up the camera yet, turned it on, set the time and the date, the time zone. I did it at the Queen Mary, which is special to me because that boat brings back a lot of memories. Now, I filmed a band when I was at the Queen Mary. And this band, I filmed it in 6K RAW, and you know, the shots were good, but then I couldn't find them in my computer. Long story short, I guess I have to download maybe an external third-party or Canon software to be able to pull those files out. I can't show them to you guys. And also, I didn't record audio because this is my first cinema camera. I thought it was just gonna, you know, magically take care of it. But it didn't. So I still need to figure that out, both the audio and the 6K RAW function, which I don't have any footage to show you guys. When I filmed at the Queen Mary, I did notice that there's a lot of noise when I filmed in Canon Log 2. I filmed with the 70-200, 4K 60, slow motion, and the pros with filming at the Queen Mary is that, you know, the triple base ISO, the low light flexibility, and the autofocus tracking was great. However, because I filmed in Canon Log 2, it just gave a lot of noise in the image, and the shots that I'm gonna be showing you, none of those have been color graded. They're straight from the camera into Premiere, and I just exported the files just because for this video, at least for the first one, I want to be able to show more the raw files, the real, you know, you film a shot and then you go home and then what do you have to work with? That's what I want to show in this video. I don't want to show, you know, the highlight reel and just this movie, you know, because this is the video that needs to be showing a lot of, you know, behind, like, the real footage, you know. So cons is during the Queen Mary is the high noise in the color profile mode, the audio setup. I had no clue how to set this thing up. Again, I bought it that day and I was so excited, so I just went to go film. So I had no audio you know, throughout the whole day, but especially for the live band that I said I was gonna send them the video. Not anymore. The 6K files, I couldn't open them, so I still need to, you know, go into that. But just high noise, even with the triple bass ISO, it was kind of discouraging to see that in the camera. However, I'm sure there's a workaround with that, something within that. Shout out to my friend Amelia for being the model. Super spontaneous. She saw that I was there and she said she was like 10 minutes away, Ubered there, and she was the model for the Queen Mary. So thank you, Amelia, for being a part of that day. Now the next day, I went to LA and Little Tokyo. Now I started to kind of, you know, realize to not shoot in Canon, Canon S-Log, or what is it? Canon Log 2, just for functional purposes. I filmed with the 50mm 1.8 RF when I was in Little Tokyo, but when I was at the bridge overview of LA, I was filming with the 70-200. That was the first time that I set it up with my monitor, so I have some footage with my iPhone on how that looks set up. It looks pretty awesome, to be honest. While I was filming there was a lot of good things that I began to know about this camera, and it was, you know, the built-in ND filters. I've always carried an ND filter, variable ND filter, and it doesn't cost much to, you know, twist the ring, but just to be able to get the camera and with your left hand just press a button and just be able to expose your shot properly. And then you got your, you know, aperture controller over here. So there's certain shots where I had to, you know, lower or increase aperture and, you know, the ND filter, but I was able to do it in seconds. And it was just so seamless and smooth to be able to do that just by pressing a button. And it's just a lot more efficient for me, which is something that I really liked about this camera so far with the ND filters, the built-in ND filters. It's one of my favorite features so far. The quality, there's great images that I was able to capture. And Little Tokyo, I wanted to limit myself with just a 50mm, especially because, you know, this is a really amazing camera, and when you try to do too many things at once, you might not be able to even capture anything, like the 6K, no audio function, you know. So I really wanted to just focus on a real life scenario, live filming, live people, of course no audio, but yeah, so here's some shots. There's a shot that I did with the triple bass ISO. I didn't even bother at 800 ISO because it just wasn't enough. And I started it off at 1600 ISO, which that, in my opinion, was good. And then, you know, 12,800, it was, did I say the right ISO? Anyways, it was super bright with the 12,800 ISO. Like, it really looked like it was sunny. And I probably didn't expose my white balance properly, so that's why it looks a little orangish. And I'm not really color grading any of the footage other than the first footage that you saw. I adjusted some color in that, but everything else is just straight from the camera. Cons, the stabilization, because I had the 50mm, I had the top handle. It's just the camera's a little more bulkier than what I'm used to, so I just have to get used to, you know, keeping it level, and the weight, obviously, it's a little different. So aside from that, I think the shots were great in LA and Little Tokyo. The low light performance is amazing. So if there's any source of light wherever you're going, just know you're covered. Now in my son's soccer game, I shot in a color profile mode, long GOP 709, Canon 709. I shot with the 70-200 2.8, and I filmed it at 4K 23 frames per second. I started to notice, this was all handheld, by the way. I was just sitting in a chair and filming. I filmed with my iPhone, how that looked. And some pros, the image is good, and the ND filters, it was, it's just a game changer with those built-in ND filters to be able to just work with that. Some cons, the autofocus and the tracking, I don't think it was there's too much going on. The camera is just, you know, trying to pick up whatever it is. So there's a few shots where the autofocus was not capturing who I wanted to focus because there's several players, you know. When there's fast camera movement, the footage is kind of shaky. So, you know, sports wise, I don't think it's designed for that specifically, but I just wanted to go ahead and test that out. For sure, with a tripod, it would make it a lot more usable, the footage. The LED, I was filming around 2 p.m. It is not bright enough in broad daylight. It's just not enough. I genuinely could not see the screen from just where I was sitting. I had to have my hand or my body to cover it to be able to see something. And even then, you know, you might not truly expose it properly. So a monitor is definitely recommended if filming at 2 p.m. or, you know, 12, a bright day. I would totally recommend to use a monitor because the screen is not enough during broad daylight. Okay, so I'm editing. I'm gonna transfer some new footage I filmed at my son's soccer final. They won, by the way. The C80, the other game, I had filmed it without a tripod and it was very difficult to do that, to hold it, and it just didn't look really, I didn't really get a lot of good shots. So I'm gonna be showing the ones on the tripod and then some B-roll of them winning and stuff. So yeah, check that out. Now let's go over to Venice. When I filmed in Venice, I filmed in long GOP 8-bit with the 70-200 EF. The quality 4K 120 frames per second. This is when, you see, this is day after day, the next day. So every day I try to do something different, and I completely forgot that this does 4K 120. And man, these shots are just so buttery smooth. Paired with the 70-200, by the way, I used a EF to RF to EF adapter. I have this smart ring, so I can, you know, customize that to help me with whatever I need it. I haven't figured out how to use that also, so as of now I've just used it as the converter. But man, the shots that I was able to get in Venice are really, really good. The colors, the shadows, to be able to capture both, you know, on this side and to capture the other side, sunset, the sun, you're able to see the shape of the sun while still seeing some details in people's clothes on this end. It's really good all these shots that I was able to get there. Again, paired with the 70-200, I think this lens is just, it goes well with this camera. A lens that I would want to get, and eventually I will get, is the Canon 24-105 2.8. I feel like that lens is really gonna stay on this camera the whole time, unless I get a cinema lens or if I want the 70-200 for longer range. Aside from that, I think that's gonna be, you know, the go-to lens. Pros about this filming in Venice is the 4K 120 frames per second. It's super smooth. The full frame sensor, just that depth of field, is just, it looks amazing. The ND filters, again, it's just amazing to have those built in. The flexibility, less gear, and it's more compact. You're really able to do so much in just this camera and you know, the lens. I actually didn't even have the monitor hooked up that day in Venice. I was able to just do it with the screen. Again, I had to, you know, protect it from the sunlight, but it was more like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., so it wasn't as broad daylight, so I was still able to capture some good shots and be able to see the LED screen. Some cons is, of course, the size difference is not the same as my GH5, so I still have to get used to, you know, my entire hand holding this and then my left hand holding the 70-200, or just the bottom of this camera. It's like two bricks, you know, it's like that you kind of have to keep level the whole time. And I just need to get more comfortable with it. Those are, I would say, the cons throughout that, you know. Now, I want to show you some footage that I got in Santa Monica. File type, I shot in long GOP Canon 709. The lens, I stuck with the 50mm 1.8. I think there's only one shot that I used the 70-200, but that was because it was in the very beginning. The quality I shot in 4K 120 frames per second in 8-bit. Now, filming in Santa Monica, I began to get more comfortable with the camera, and I wanted to just add more of my style of filming, just because I've gotten to get familiar with my current workflow and just the kind of shots that I like to get. So all these shots are more my style. Again, 4K 120, the triple base ISO is incredible. It just performs really well in low light, and that's already having, you know, an established light source. And even without having an established light source, it still looks really good. And I'll be showing some B-roll that my friend Dylan got of me filming throughout Santa Monica, just so you can kind of get you know, an overview of what the shots looked like and then what it took to get a certain shot. Just because the potential in this camera and the ability to be able to get the shots that I was able to capture in still a very small size is not something to just, you know, take for granted. It is a very powerful camera. I got a lot of compliments on the camera, compliments on the shots. They said, wow, instead of saying you're really good for compositioning this shot and like capturing this shot, you're good. No, it was, you have a nice camera, which I do have a nice camera. But a camera is just a camera until someone's hand picks it up. You have to remember that this is a tool. And this past week, I have been learning how to use this tool. And even though I have a lot of experience with filming, I've filmed my own documentary, a Santa Ana Zoo documentary. Like, I've done so much work with my other tool that I've gotten to know in and out. Now I'm learning a brand new body, a brand new system, you know, so it's gonna take some time to be able to adjust to these differences, both pros and cons, you know. But some pros in filming in Santa Monica: the triple base ISO, the low light performance. The screen is actually good and bright during nighttime, so you don't have to worry about using an external monitor in the nighttime. The image quality, of course, it's amazing. The autofocus, even in 4K 120, is crazy to me, okay? With the GH5, I was always filming in manual mode. manual focus. So to be able to have autofocus, to me, is like, there's so much weight lifted off my shoulders to be able to just, sometimes you just need autofocus so you can, you know, get the right composition in a shot, set the tracking, and just focus on getting that shot. Because, you know, focusing on getting a shot, you're on a gimbal, you gotta rack focus by yourself. You know, I'm a one-man army most of the time, so I gotta do everything on my own. So the autofocus is definitely something I'm extremely grateful for. Cons, filming Santa Monica, again, just getting used to the size, you know, the shakiness, keeping it level, any little shift, you're able to see it. But aside from that, I really like the shots. Now we're gonna jump into church. Before I say anything, I'm just gonna show you guys this reel that I was captured at church. Here it is.
You'll never fail us. Who needs some good news today? Anybody? I got you, fam. All three of you. Here we go. Romans 8, verse 31. When the word of God is read, it does not return void. There is power and authority when the word of God is read over the people of God. But it will only impact you if you're open to receive this truth today. I just want to encourage you for just the next minute while I read this, just close your eyes. Extend your hands and palms up as a physical posture of openness and surrender to say, God, I want whatever you have for me. And let this truth build faith within you. Romans 8. So what do you think? With God on our side like this, how can we lose? If God didn't hesitate to put everything on the line for us, embracing our condition and exposing himself to the worst by sending his own son, is there anything he wouldn't gladly and freely do for us? For who would dare to tangle with God by messing with one of God's chosen children? Who would dare to even point a finger? The one who died for us, the one who was raised to life for us, is in the very presence of God at this moment, advocating for us. Do you think anyone is going to be able to drive a wedge between you and Christ's love for you? There is no way. Not trouble, not hard times, not hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not backstabbing, not even the worst sins listed in Scripture. None of this phases us because Jesus loves us. I'm absolutely convinced that nothing living or dead, angelic or demonic, today or tomorrow, high or low, thinkable or unthought, absolutely nothing can get between you and I and God's love because of the way that Jesus, our Master, first loved us. Isn't that good news, church?
This one I'm very excited about. What do you guys think about this scene captured, you know, in church? Of course, it's very dark. For all the church productions and, you know, church filmmakers and just anybody that, you know, is in the church, and anybody really that is set in any type of environment like this where there's some sort of controlled lighting, however still dark. I mean, these images that were able to get captured, I'm mind blown. Like, you can have a full church production with just a set of these cameras. With 5 of these cameras, 5 filmmakers running around with these cameras, like, you're pretty set. Extremely good quality, okay? None of this was color graded. I filmed in long GOP, Canon 709, lens the 70-200, 2.8 EF, quality 4K 23 frames per second. The pros, low light performance, stabilization of the 70-200 lens makes a big difference. The triple base ISO, the autofocus, there's the sharp image, the LED is bright, and the recording light. I haven't had that in the GH5. And to me, red means bad and green means good, go, right? So I had to rewire my brain to think red is filming. Green is like, it's just green, you know? So red, make sure it's red. So I see it and it looks red and it just looks so good. It just looks good to see that red, and it's like, I'm filming, it's filming right now. And people know it's filming. If you're facing this way, you know, it's red, it means it is filming. Because there's been a lot of times where I thought that I was filming and I wasn't filming when I was filming with the GH5. So overall thoughts, you know, the pros, the 6K RAW, even though I wasn't able to extract it, it looked good in the camera. The full frame sensor, triple base ISO, 4K 120 frames per second, the autofocus, the battery life is very good. The BPA 30N battery, in which I haven't really fully gotten down more than 20%. I mean, I filmed probably for like half a day for about maybe 2.5 hours on and off, maybe even up to 3 hours on and off. And it lasted me quite a bit. I haven't finished both batteries on a full day shoot, but you gotta be filming, you know, repeatedly to probably be able to, you know, down these batteries. So battery life is very good. But again, I always prefer to have extra batteries because I never want to run out of battery power whenever I'm shooting. Sometimes I get an idea and I want to just keep going, and I don't want battery to be an issue. So that's why I got the BPA 60, because I didn't want it to be an issue times 2. So I just doubled up, even though it was about 450. The customized buttons, there's a lot of buttons on this camera. So again, I still need to get used to it, get used to the zebra patterns, the white balance, all these buttons in this camera. There's so many different ones. It's got a nice little joystick. I got to get used to that too, because it's not the same as my GH5. The grip and the handle, it's very good. It really feels nice and tight on my hand, like it won't fall. And even if, you know, I am falling, I'm falling body first and I'm protecting this thing, you know, because my back can get better, but we got to take care of this, you know. The recording line is something that I really like. The ND filters, again, can't get over the ND filters. The compact size, even though it's a little more bulkier in comparison to my GH5, here's some shots of, you know, the difference from the C80 to the GH5. So there is a very noticeable size difference. All the new audio inputs, like the SDI, I think it's more for like a podcast, which I haven't even run into that yet, but I will run into that now because I'm just diving deeper into this, you know. You're able to adjust the exposure properly with the ND filters and, you know, the aperture ring over here. So it's just, I like the efficiency, the ability to move quickly, to expose the shot quickly, to just throw the camera up, expose the shot with a couple NDs, you know, and you're set. The screen is solid. I never had a C70, so I don't know what that is about, but I do hear like a little click. So, you know, I'm sure the C70, I don't think it has that. So the screen is pretty good. It's not flimsy and it is bright in the nighttime, you know. The cons of this camera, the first one, V90 cards. They're more expensive than CF Express cards, and the CF Express cards are faster. I do not like that. I think the SD cards that I got were, I think it was like $415 for two 256 gigabyte pro grade V90 cards. That's a lot for 2 SD cards, even at 256 gigs for the speed that it is. But I'm sure it has something to do with the C400, so they can't give you the cake and eat it too, you know. The noise in Canon Log 2. That's something that I haven't really fixed, learned how to navigate through. So that's something in the coming weeks and months that I'm going to be practicing. I have a possible trip, very amazing trip, possible to be coming in June So I will be taking this camera, and by then I have to be audio, not expert, but audio, you know, informed, and so as well the log footage. Something I don't like about this camera, more of a personal preference, is to be able to change, you know, from one shooting mode to the other. I have to still learn how to navigate the menu. The menu has it set in where, you know, one's like the color profile mode, and then the other one is the kind of filming that you want to do: 12-bit, 10-bit, 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 8-bit, different 4K modes. Slow and fast recording is like in a different menu. So it's just different, of course, different brand, different navigation through the system, the menu system. So I do prefer the GH5 menu because it has up to 6 customizable filming modes. That means it has like C1, C2, C3, the GH5, and then 3 has 1-2, 1-3. So that means I can preset C1, I had it set to 4K 60 Cine D. C2, I had it in 120 frames per second and 1080p Cine D. And then the C3 mode, I had it set to live speed 4K 23 frames per second, like vlog. And then the other one, I had it set to 4K 60 Cine D live speed. And then, and I was genuinely able to just switch it by just rotating the menu from C1 to C3 in just 2 seconds, 1 second to 2 seconds, you are ready to shoot 4K 120 frames per second. Because there's been a lot of times where I film alone and I need a 4K slow motion shot, and then I need to switch to live speed, and then I'm just one shooter, so now I have to go in between what's more important, you know? 4K 23 or just shoot at 4K 60 live speed to be able to kind of get the best of both worlds. So that's just more of a personal preference. Another con is the audio. To me, it's more complex. So it's just something that I got to navigate through. Again, more of a personal user, but I'm sure a lot of people will relate to the audio if this is going to be your first cinema camera like me. Autofocus for tracking sports, probably not designed for it, but I still wanted to test it out. It handled some shots pretty good, but overall there's a lot of shakiness. Again, tripod, so it's probably something that can be fixed just by having it on a tripod. The size, of course, it's different from the GH5. Very noticeable difference. When I held the GH5, I was with my friend Dylan. Shout out to Dylan for helping me film. And it literally felt like a toy because I was holding this for so long. And then when I picked up the GH5, it genuinely just felt like a Sony FX3. Like, it's very thin, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, what's another con? That noise, I think I mentioned the noise, but other than that, I mean, there's so many good features about this camera. I'm super excited about it. This is the new flagship camera. This is the new A cam. And then the B cam is my GH5. Where is it? It's actually shelved right now. It's shelved. It's looking at me, talking about its replacement. So, I think it's probably like thinking the song from Toy Story, strange things are happening to me. So I'm actually filming on the 90D right now. 2 reasons. Well, actually 1 reason. Audio. I still haven't figured out the audio on this camera, and that's why I'm filming with the 90D, and because the 90D has autofocus and the GH5. Again, I don't trust it in autofocus, but don't tell it. There will definitely be short films coming up with the C80 now that I get to spend more time with it. So please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, make sure to comment them down below, and you know, stay tuned for the next videos. Thanks for watching.